Come with me into the hotel laundry, where the towels are warm, the clocks are modest, and nothing in particular is about to happen. The door is at the quiet end of the lower corridor, beyond the staff lockers and the cupboard where spare light bulbs wait in orderly cardboard sleeves. It is a broad gray door with a narrow window reinforced by wire in a diamond pattern. Through the glass, the laundry appears at first to be a room made entirely of pale fabric and stainless steel. There are white sheets in square carts, white towels in blue carts, cream napkins in green crates, and one yellow cloth resting by itself on the edge of a sink as if it has paused to consider the afternoon. The machines stand along the far wall, round-doored and patient. Their control lights glow with the mild importance of small railway signals at an empty country station. Mara arrives at 6 in the evening, when the guests upstairs are opening menus and wondering whether they have time for soup. She has worked in the laundry for 11 years, which is long enough to know the particular sound of every wheel on every cart. The cart with the blue tape on its handle has a soft click once during each revolution. The narrow cart used for pillowcases squeaks only when pushed to the left. The oldest linen trolley makes no sound at all if it is loaded evenly, but gives a faint wooden complaint if the stack leans toward the boiler room. Mara regards these noises as useful introductions. A cart announces what kind of evening it intends to have. She hangs her cardigan on the second hook, ties on a clean apron, and checks the clipboard beside the door. The list is not adventurous. 47 bath sheets from the west wing. 81 ordinary towels from the east wing. 112 pillowcases, although the number is written lightly because 2 housekeepers are still finishing the upper floor. There are tablecloths from the small dining room, napkins from breakfast, kitchen cloths, cotton bath mats, and a separate canvas bag containing 3 curtains from room 214. The curtains have been washed before. Mara remembers their small repeating pattern of beige leaves. The leaves point upward when the curtains are hanging and sideways when they are folded. Before touching the linen, she fills the kettle. The laundry has a kettle because nearly every room devoted to repetitive work eventually acquires one. This one is white, with a transparent strip showing the water level and a lid that must be pressed twice before it agrees to close. Mara adds enough water for 2 cups, though she is alone for the first hour. The second cup is for Tomas, who will arrive after collecting the last dining room load. There is comfort in preparing for a person who has not yet arrived. The spare cup waits upside down on a folded tea towel, clean and unsurprised. The first task is sorting. This is done at a waist-high table whose top has been worn smooth by many thousands of pieces of cloth. Towels go into one cart, pillowcases into another, sheets into a third. Table linen is divided by color and weight. The kitchen cloths are inspected for anything that should not enter a machine, a spoon, a cork, a paper label, once even a tiny key that opened no known lock in the hotel. Tonight there is only a receipt softened by water and time until it resembles a piece of gray flower petal. Mara lifts it away and places it in the bin. The cloth beneath it bears no evidence that they were ever together. The towels are pleasant to count because they are all the same approximate shape while never being exactly the same. Some have hems that lie perfectly flat. Others turn inward at one corner, remembering a fold made many washes ago. A few are newer and slightly brighter. The oldest have become soft in the honest way of fabric that has been asked to do one simple thing many times. Mara stacks them in groups of 10 before loading the washer. 10 is not required by the machine, but it gives the hands a rhythm. 1, 2, 3, then the fourth with a thicker border, then 5 through 10, and a brief press of the palm to settle the pile. The largest washer is called number 3, though there are only 2 washers now. Number 1 was removed before Mara began working here, leaving behind 4 bolt holes and a slightly cleaner rectangle on the floor. No one renumbered the survivors. This seems sensible. A machine may keep its name even after the arithmetic around it changes. Number 3 takes the towels. Its door closes with a low metal certainty. Mara measures detergent from the wall dispenser, checks the temperature, and presses the green button. Water enters with a hidden rush. The drum turns once, pauses, then begins its slow, dependable work. While the towels wash, the pillowcases are unfolded. They arrive inside one another, because pillowcases have a habit of collecting companions. Mara reaches into each soft bundle and finds another case, sometimes 2. The discovery is never surprising, but it is mildly satisfying, like opening a small envelope and finding the expected card. She turns each one right side out, smooths the seams between her fingers, and checks the corners for loose threads. A blue thread goes into the pocket of her apron. A white thread falls to the floor and cannot be found against the pale tiles, which are exceptionally good at concealing small pieces of white thread. The kettle clicks off. Mara makes tea in a mug decorated with 3 green pears. The pears have faded at different rates, so the one nearest the handle is now only an outline. She takes the mug to the small desk beneath the clock. The clock is 5 minutes slow by long agreement. Everyone knows this, so it causes no confusion. A clock that is reliably wrong becomes a different kind of correct. Mara writes the first washer number on the clipboard, adds the time shown by the slow clock, and draws a neat line beneath the entry. The pencil has been sharpened with a knife and has one flat side that prevents it from rolling. Through the ceiling comes the gentle, complicated life of the hotel. A chair moves across a dining room floor. Somewhere a service lift closes. Pipes tick as hot water travels upward. The sounds are softened by concrete and distance until they lose their purpose and become merely a weather of indoor noises. Down here, number 3 begins its faster turn. The drum hums. The tea sends up a thin curl of steam. The room smells of cotton, warm metal, soap, and the faint mineral scent of the water that has served this building since the pipes were replaced in 1987. There is a shelf near the pressing table devoted to useful pieces of cardboard. They come from shirt packaging, new towels, boxes of soap, and the backs of notepads. None is thrown away until it is too creased to support a folded napkin. Mara chooses a clean rectangle and places it inside the first cream napkin. The cardboard acts as a guide. One side folds in, then the other, then the bottom rises to meet the top. The finished napkin is a small soft parcel with square edges. She removes the guide and uses it again. After the 5th napkin the movement belongs more to the hands than to thought. Napkins are counted in 20s and tied with cotton tape. The tape is not necessary for the washing, only for the journey upstairs, but small journeys benefit from preparation. Mara knots the tape with a bow that can be undone by pulling either end. A hard knot would make someone search for scissors during breakfast service, and breakfast service already contains enough searching. People search for teaspoons, for clean coffee pots, for the honey jar, and occasionally for the quiet guest who asked for porridge and then moved tables. The laundry tries not to add to this burden. At 6:30 by the slow clock, Tomas arrives with the dining room trolley. He pushes with one hand and carries a paper bag with the other. Inside are two plain rolls from the kitchen, still warm at the center. He places one beside Mara's cup and pours his tea. Tomas prefers his tea pale and has the unusual ability to remember exactly where he left it. His mug may sit behind a stack of sheets for 20 minutes, yet he returns directly to it without looking. Mara considers this a talent. In a laundry, the location of a warm drink is among the more useful facts a person can retain. They open the trolley together. The top layer contains tablecloths folded inward around crumbs. Each cloth is shaken gently over a bin, not snapped in the air, because there is no need to make crumbs travel farther than they already have. A grain of rice, 2 paper sugar wrappers, and a small curl of lemon peel fall away. The lemon peel has kept its bright smell. For a moment the laundry contains a trace of the dining room, citrus, pepper, toasted bread. Then the ordinary scent of soap resumes its place. The tablecloths are sorted into white, cream, and the pale green used only in the garden room. The difference between white and cream is obvious under the inspection lamp but uncertain elsewhere. In the corridor, either can look like the other. Mara once carried a cream cloth all the way to the garden room before realizing that it belonged in the main dining room. Nothing serious occurred. The cloth was carried back. The incident survives only because laundry work offers so few disasters that a mistaken shade can enjoy a long and comfortable reputation. Number 3 finishes with 3 descending tones. They are musical in the broadest possible sense. Tomas opens the door, and a cloud of moist warmth reaches his sleeves. The towels have gathered into a dense pale hill. He pulls them into the blue cart, one armful at a time, while Mara checks that none remains pressed against the back of the drum. A single face cloth is found there, held flat by water and rotation. She peels it free. It drops into the cart without ceremony and joins the larger towels below. The dryer turns the towels more slowly than the washer. Its window soon fills with a revolving wall of white. Every few seconds a corner appears against the glass and disappears. Watching it is restful but not informative. Tomas checks the lint screen, which holds a soft gray layer resembling felt. The lint is removed in one piece and folded into itself so that loose fibers remain inside. It weighs almost nothing. Yet by the end of a week the small bin is full, a quiet record of fabric made softer by countless brief removals. There is a history to lint screens, though Mara does not know it in dates. She knows it through the old dryer in the storage room, whose screen is a curved frame with a wooden handle. The newer machine has a flat metal mesh and a warning light. Both perform the same humble rescue, catching what cloth releases before it travels into ducts. Many useful objects live between a machine and the trouble it might otherwise cause. Filters, washers, rubber feet, fuses, clips, catches, and small removable trays rarely appear in photographs, but they keep the photographed objects behaving properly. The pillowcases go into number 2. They are lighter than towels and fill the drum differently, rising with air before settling. Mara adds the correct measure of detergent, neither a dramatic amount nor a cautious one. Too much soap makes extra rinsing. Too little asks water to do work for which it was not prepared. The measuring line on the cup has faded, so a new line was scratched into the plastic with the tip of a safety pin. It catches the light when the cup is held beneath the dispenser. Tomas begins inspecting the bath mats. They are thick, with a woven border that can trap a surprising quantity of sand. Most guests have not visited a beach, the nearest one is several hours away. The sand arrives from shoes, plant pots, masonry dust, and the slow crumbling of ordinary streets. Tomas shakes each mat over the sorting table and listens to the grains tick against the metal tray below. The sound is delicate and brief. At the end he tips the tray into the bin, adding perhaps a teaspoon of the outside world to the softened receipt and the lemon peel. At 7, the laundry is fully awake. Both washers turn. The dryer breathes through its duct. The pressing table warms. A small fan above the door moves air from one part of the room to another with little evidence of preference. Mara and Tomas work opposite each other, folding tablecloths. A large cloth needs 2 people if its edges are to meet without touching the floor. They hold the corners, step apart, lift, and bring the long sides together. The cloth makes a quiet sail between them before becoming a rectangle, then a narrower rectangle, then a square. Some tablecloths carry square creases from many earlier foldings. The fabric offers these lines as suggestions. Mara follows them when they remain useful and ignores them when they have wandered. A fold is not a law, it is simply where cloth has agreed to bend before. This is true of maps, letters, handkerchiefs, and the paper instructions kept in the drawer beneath the desk. The instructions have been opened along the same lines so often that the page knows how to become small. The curtain bag waits by the sink. Room 214 is on the second floor at the corner, overlooking a narrow yard where delivery vans reverse in the morning. Its curtains do not become dirty quickly, but they gather dust in their hems and a gray softness along the top pleats. Mara removes the hooks one by one and places them in a round tin. The tin once held mints. Its lid shows a mountain lake in colors that no lake has ever quite achieved. Each hook lands with a tiny metal tap. There are 32, then a pause, then a 33rd hidden in the final fold. Curtain hooks are washed separately in warm water and dried on a cloth. The curtains themselves require the gentle program. Mara checks the care label even though she remembers it. Remembering a rule is helpful, reading it again is safer. The print is small and the label has curled at the edge. 30 degrees. Mild detergent. No high heat. Cool iron if necessary. The phrase "if necessary" has a generous quality. It leaves room for judgment. Tonight, judging by the wrinkles already present, a cool iron will probably be necessary, but no decision is required yet. Upstairs, dinner plates are being cleared. Downstairs, the first towels are dry. Tomas opens the dryer and the room becomes warmer by one noticeable degree. The towels are tipped onto the folding table, where they rise in a soft, untidy landscape. Mara takes one, finds the long edges, folds them inward, then brings the towel across itself twice. The hotel prefers thirds for bath sheets and halves for hand towels. Face cloths are folded once. Bath mats are rolled. These preferences were decided before either worker arrived and may continue long after they leave. The reason for folding towels in thirds is partly practical and partly visual. They fit the shelves. They make a neat front edge. They can be lifted without disturbing the towel below. There is also a pleasing proportion to the finished rectangle, broad enough to look generous and narrow enough to stack. Hotels contain many such compromises disguised as obvious choices: the height of a bedside lamp, the weight of a key card, the size of a breakfast cup, the distance between a chair and a wall. Someone measured each one, and eventually everyone stopped noticing. Mara folds while Tomas stacks. 10 bath sheets make a column that is stable but still easy to carry. 12 make a higher column with a tendency to lean. They choose 10. The blue cart fills from the back so that the stack nearest the handle does not have to support the rest. Corners face outward. Borders align. No guest will examine this geometry, which is one reason it can remain gentle. Work done for comfort rather than applause has its own quiet pace. One towel has a loose hem. Mara places it in the mending basket, a low wicker tray lined with brown cloth. The basket contains 2 napkins missing stitches, a pillowcase with a tired seam, and a bathrobe belt that has lost its robe. The belt may be reunited later, or it may become a spare. Nothing in the mending basket is urgent. Repairs are made on Thursday mornings near the window in the staff room, where the light is good and the radio is kept low. At 8, they stop for the rolls. Tomas has brought butter in a small foil packet. Mara has apricot jam in the desk drawer. The jam is supplied in a glass jar because she dislikes the way individual packets skitter across the table when empty. They sit on overturned crates near the fan and eat slowly. The machines continue. A laundry break is accompanied by the work rather than separated from it. The round windows turn, the ducks breathe, and somewhere inside number 2, a zipper pull taps lightly against the drum at irregular intervals. They speak about ordinary matters. The bus route has changed its stop by half a block. Tomas's upstairs neighbor has planted thyme in a window box. Mara needs a new umbrella because one rib has become permanently convinced that it should point upward. None of these subjects requires a conclusion. They pass between the 2 workers like folded cloth, considered briefly and set in a useful place. When the rolls are finished, the crumbs are brushed into a palm and tipped away. The pillowcases emerge clean and tangled. A pillowcase is less cooperative after washing than before. It twists around its neighbors and holds pockets of warm air. Mara shakes each once, finds the opening, and lays it flat. The seam runs beneath her hand. The open end folds inward, then the case folds in half. The hotel stores pillowcases upright in shallow baskets, like paper files. This prevents the lower ones from being pressed too firmly and makes the oldest stock easy to choose first. Rotation matters even in a cupboard of pillowcases. If the freshest laundry is always placed on top and always taken first, the bottom pieces can remain untouched for months, gathering the quiet stiffness of neglect. So clean cases go to the back, and housekeepers take from the front. The system is called first in, first out, a phrase used in warehouses, kitchens, archives, and any place where objects wait their turn. It sounds brisk, but in practice it is merely fairness arranged on a shelf. The garden room cloths finish next. Their pale green color deepens while damp, then returns as they dry. Tomas feeds them through the press one at a time. The press has a wide padded roller and a heated plate. It accepts the edge of a cloth, draws it forward, and returns it smooth. The movement is slow enough to watch. A wrinkle approaches, becomes flat, and disappears beneath the roller. Tomas keeps his fingers well behind the guard. Safety guards are another variety of useful object that asks to remain between a machine and a possibility. Pressed cloth leaves the machine with a faint clean warmth and a smell like sunlit cotton, although it has seen no sun. Mara receives it on the far side and folds it along the center line. Steam rises briefly. The green squares accumulate on a shelf. Their color is the color of sage leaves after rain, though the laundry has no rain and the garden room's plants are mostly ferns in heavy pots. Comparison allows one room to borrow a little from another. The slow clock reaches 9. By now the corridors above are quieter. Guests have returned to their rooms, or left for the theater, or settled into armchairs with cups that will later travel downward on room service trays. The laundry enters its middle hours. The list on the clipboard contains more lines crossed through than waiting. This is not a race. A crossed line simply confirms that a small promise has been kept. Mara loads the curtains. They circle gently behind the glass, beige leaves drifting past in repeated patterns. The 3 panels are not identical. One has a narrow repaired place near the lower edge, stitched with thread that is almost, but not perfectly, the same shade. The repair was made years ago. It has survived many openings, closings, washings, and winter mornings. A good repair does not return an object to the time before damage. It gives the object a calm way to continue afterward. Tomas cleans the pressing table. He uses a cotton cloth dampened with distilled water and moves from left to right in overlapping strokes. The table does not look dirty before he begins or cleaner when he finishes, yet the cloth shows a faint gray trace. Many forms of maintenance reveal themselves only on what removed the dust. Filters darken. Polishing cloths dull. Rinse water clouds. A clean surface gives no speech about the work that produced it. Beside the sink is a jar of wooden clothes pegs. They are used for labels, small repairs, and occasionally to hold the kettle lid open while it dries. The pegs differ slightly in color. Some are pale and new. Others have darkened where fingers press them. One has a blue pencil mark on its side. Mara uses that peg to close the bag of spare cotton tape. She could choose any peg, but the marked one has come to belong to that task, and changing it would offer no improvement. The bath mats take longer to dry. Their rubber-backed edges hold moisture after the woven centers feel ready. Tomas tests each by pressing the corner between 2 fingers. If it feels cool, water remains. The mats return to the drum for another 8 minutes. 8 is enough, 10 would also be enough, but the timer advances in pairs and 8 sits conveniently between uncertainty and excess. Laundry is full of modest estimates corrected by touch. At 9:30, Mara oils the wheel of the pillowcase cart. She lifts the blue cap on the small bottle and places 1 drop at the axle. The wheel turns silently. It is a tiny improvement, almost disappointing in its completeness. Yesterday the cart squeaked. Tonight it does not. Tomorrow no one will notice the absence. There is no ceremony for a wheel that has stopped complaining, only an easier passage across the floor. The final dining room load arrives by service lift. It is small, 12 napkins, 2 runners, and a cloth used beneath a tray of cheese. The cheesecloth smells faintly of wood and walnuts. Mara marks it for the kitchen program. She checks pockets that do not exist, shakes crumbs that are barely present, and puts the new pieces beside their earlier companions. A late arrival does not disturb the plan. It simply lengthens one part of it. They refill the detergent reservoirs from square containers stored below the sink. The liquid moves slowly through the funnel, pearly and blue. Tomas pours while Mara watches the level. There is a temptation to fill a container to its absolute top, but a small space prevents spills when the cap is replaced. They stop at the line. The funnel is rinsed, turned upside down, and left to dry on the yellow cloth that had seemed to be thinking earlier. It has now found employment. The curtain cycle ends without fanfare. Mara lifts the panels into a clean cart, supporting their weight so the fabric does not stretch. The leaves lie in damp overlapping rows. She fits the hooks only after the curtains are dry, using the old mint tin to keep count. Each hook enters a woven pocket in the heading tape. The spacing creates pleats. Small metal curves give order to several meters of cloth, an arrangement invisible once the curtains are hanging. While the panels air dry, Mara uses the cool iron on the repaired lower edge. The iron slides over a cloth placed between the metal and the curtain. She does not press the entire panel. Most wrinkles will relax under their own hanging weight. Intervention is reserved for the places that need it. This is efficient, but it also suits the evening. There is no reason to remove every sign that fabric has moved through water. Tomas counts the finished napkins again. 2 bundles of 20, 1 bundle of 10, and a final group of 6. 56 in total. The clipboard expected 56. Matching numbers produce a small inward click, like a drawer closing neatly. He writes the total and initials the line. His initials are 2 upright strokes joined by a curve. After years of repetition they have become less like letters and more like a symbol for yes, this number was seen. The hotel once sent all its laundry to a facility outside town. An old label on the shelf remembers that period. It shows a delivery day, a route number, and a price calculated by weight. The arrangement was practical, but sheets returned folded in a way that did not fit the cupboards, and napkins came in bundles of 25 instead of 20. Eventually the lower room was fitted with its present machines. The hotel gained heat, noise, lint, and the ability to choose its own rectangles. Near 11, the main work is complete. The towels occupy 2 carts. Pillowcases stand in 3 baskets. The dining cloths form low square towers. Bath mats lie rolled with their woven side outward. The curtains rest over a padded rail, dry enough now that the beige leaves have returned to their usual shade. Mara compares the room with the list and then compares the list with the room. Both tell the same quiet story. Cleaning the machines comes next. Doors are left open so the drums can dry. Rubber seals are wiped carefully, especially beneath the lower fold where water waits. Detergent cups are rinsed. Lint screens are cleared again. The floor around number 3 is mopped with a solution that smells faintly of pine, though it was made nowhere near a pine tree. Tomas moves the mop in broad overlapping figures of 8. Mara wipes the folding table and returns the cardboard guides to their shelf. The cleanest piece goes in front. The bent piece goes into recycling. It has guided several hundred folds and now curves too readily to one side. Retirement for cardboard is uncomplicated. It leaves one stack, enters another, and may eventually return as a box with no memory of napkins. They carry the first cart to the service lift. The lift is small and lined with brushed metal. A wooden rail protects each wall from trolley corners. Mara presses the second floor button. The lift ascends without them, taking towels into the sleeping building. A light shows its progress: basement, ground, 1, 2. Then the numbers descend as the empty car returns. The whole journey takes less than a minute and avoids a staircase with 26 steps. The remaining carts travel in the same way. Each is labeled with a destination card tucked into a brass slot. East Wing, West Wing, Dining, Room 214. The cards are printed in plain black letters and laminated at the edges. One corner of East Wing has begun to separate. Mara smooths it with her thumbnail and adds clear tape. The repair will last for several weeks, perhaps months. Not every object needs a permanent solution tonight. At mid:15, Tomas washes the tea mugs. The pear designs on Mara's mug shine briefly under water. He dries them and sets them upside down. The kettle is unplugged, emptied, and left with its lid open, held by the blue-marked peg. The jar of apricot jam returns to the drawer. Butter foil goes into the bin. The break area resumes its daytime appearance, as though no rolls have been eaten and no umbrellas discussed. Mara checks the mending basket. It will wait for Thursday. She moves the loose hem towel to the top so it is not forgotten. The robe belt is coiled beneath it. There is something restful about work deliberately postponed to the right time. The basket does not accuse. It holds what cannot be completed tonight and gives it a clear place to remain. The slow clock says 5 minutes to midnight. The correct time is midnight, but both workers continue to use the face before them. They sign the bottom of the clipboard, switch off the inspection lamp, and listen as the fan winds down. The room changes character when the machines are silent. Pipes become more noticeable. The service lift cable gives a distant settling sound. From behind number 2 comes one final drop of water. Mara walks once around the room. Washer doors open. Dryer empty. Press off. Iron unplugged. Detergent cap secure. Curtains complete, 33 hooks return to place. She runs a hand along the nearest stack of towels, not to alter it, only to confirm its warm, level edge. Tomorrow the housekeepers will take the stacks apart one towel at a time. The purpose of a neat pile is not to remain neat forever. It is to make its own undoing easy. The lights are switched off in sections. First the machine wall darkens. Then the sink. Then the folding table. The small light above the door remains on until they have put on their cardigans. Through the wired window, the stainless steel holds a little corridor glow. The carts wait. The pale fabrics become soft shapes rather than counted objects. Tomas opens the gray door and the lower corridor receives them. Mara turns the key, checks the handle, and slips the key onto its ring. Somewhere above, a guest turns down a bed made with a sheet that passed through this room on an earlier evening. A towel waits on a rail. A napkin rests in a drawer for breakfast. None of these pieces announces its journey. They simply feel clean, folded, and ready. At the staff exit, the night air is cool against their warm sleeves. The delivery yard is empty. A single window in room 214 shows the beige curtains hanging in their familiar sideways folds, though from outside the leaves cannot be seen. Mara and Tomas walk toward the changed bus stop at an unhurried pace. Behind them the hotel settles around its linen, and in the lower room the slow clock continues, 5 minutes behind and perfectly dependable, measuring the quiet interval until the next cart arrives.